Hello and welcome to the channel. Today I want to talk about something that might seem a little abstract, and that is, how do scientists figure out how things work inside our bodies, specifically with our cells, within our cells. In light of the current academic funding situation and based on my own personal experience, I thought to retell this story that I heard a couple of years ago of how do scientists, or more specifically biologists, figure out how cells work. Cells are the building block of our organs and how our body works. Without getting into the weeds of what a cell is, I want to tell a story that gives you the overall process. Imagine this. On your lunch break one day, you go for a walk to clear your head and also work off some of the calories you just consumed. You walk past this huge building, which happens to be a car manufacturing plant. Suddenly, a thought pops into your head. How do they actually make those cars? Now that your curiosity is piqued, you try to go inside and see the assembly line in action. But of course, without being an employee, you're not allowed in. But this question keeps nagging at you. How do all those individual parts become a functioning vehicle? Being the brilliant and upcoming scientist that you are, you decide to case out this location and do some investigating from the outside of the building. You become a keen observer. You watch what goes in, deliveries of tires, engine parts, metal sheets, and what comes out, shiny new cars. And you also notice the flow of workers. After several days of careful observation, you start to see a pattern emerge. Parts, people go in, cars come out. But you still don't know the actual process. That's when you come up with a slightly unconventional plan. After pondering this over a few more days, you come up with a brilliant plan to figure out how the cars are made. Let's call this controlled interference. You either borrow some of these parts going into the building, or you tie up the employees for a few hours at least. We don't want to get into trouble here, and see what happens. You sit down and you take some notes and see what happens. Interesting. After several hours, you notice that when certain parts don't go in, cars come out incomplete. Some are missing tires, some don't have windshield. Some of them don't even make it past the very early stage of assembly. You keep this up for a few more days and have a good idea what's going on here. After a few more of experiments, you start to piece things together, and you realize a few things. 1. Parts are clearly used by the workers to build cars. 2. Some parts and workers are essential early on. Without the chassis, you can't even attach the wheels or the engine. Other steps, like adding the fancy logo, happens later and doesn't stop the car from functioning. 3. Some workers might not directly install parts, but they might be quality control, ensuring that everything is put together correctly. If they are absent, the cars might still be built, but they could be faulty. Now let's zoom into the world of a cell. It's incredibly tiny, far too small for us to see with our naked eye. Even with a microscope, it can be hard to tell what each of those little parts actually are doing in the cell. It's like trying to understand how a car factory works by just looking at the building from very far away. So, how do scientists figure out the role of these tiny cellular machines, which we might call proteins, enzymes, or the cell's workers? Well, they do something. We will do something similar to our car factory experiment. The scientist might introduce a small mutation, that is a change to the protein or enzyme's function, or use inhibitors, which are a substance that blocks the protein's activity. Then they observe what happens to the cell. If a particular protein is responsible for a specific job, like building a certain molecule, and it's not working correctly, the cells will show certain defects in that process. This is often what happens in the disease states. Some cellular machinery isn't working as it should, and your cells, tissue, or even your whole body can suffer from it as a result. Sometimes a protein is so crucial that without it, the cells can't even survive. Just like a car factory can't operate without the essential early components. Other proteins might act like managers, ensuring the quality of the work. If they're not there, the cells may produce faulty components. That too can lead sometimes to disorder or diseases. So you see, scientific discovery isn't magic. It's about being curious, making careful observation, and designing these clever experiments. Even if they're just thought experiments like in our car factory, and then using logics to piece together how complex systems work. This kind of reasoning has led to life-saving medicine and therapies by first answering the basic questions. How does this system work? Without this fundamental work of understanding how our cells work, we wouldn't be able to develop the drugs and therapies that help millions of people when these systems go wrong. Think of it like taking your car to a mechanic. They diagnose the problem and replace the faulty part. Doctors do something similar, but on a more intricate level, often targeting specific cellular machines with particular medicines. So next time you hear about a new drug development or treatment, remember, it all started with the scientists trying to understand these invisible machinery inside a cell. Now, of course, there's much more complexity to a real science research than our little car factory analogy. But hopefully this gives you a basic idea of what goes on in some of these labs at the universities and research facilities, and the thought process that goes in or is involved in uncovering the secrets of life. That's all for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.